Each of us must confront our own fears, must come face to face with them. How we handle our fears will determine where we go with the rest of our lives. To experience adventure or to be limited by the fear of it, says Judy Blume. Every day we confront to the situations where we are locked with this thought that should we do it or should we not? Should I pursue this thing or should I not pursue this thing? Should this be helpful to me in my upcoming life? Would it not be? And we kind of give up on the life we could have, or we give up on the opportunities that we could live because of the fact that we are uncertain of the consequence that it can bring. But the truth is, if you learn to face the fear, you actually get over it. But if you let it box yourself, you kinda let it control your life. And that's where things get out of your hand. Because the fear that you have will be controlling you in ways that you will not even realize. And you will start making choices on the base of what you fear, and that's so obvious of it. You will just skip a lot of opportunities that you will have just to avoid the fear that you have, just to avoid that thing that you're fearful of. And that's how the fear is controlling you instead you controlling the fear. Nothing in life is to be feared, it is only to be understood. And now is the time to understand more so that we may fear less, says Marie Curie. I think first thing is you should know what your fear is. I think first thing is you should embrace it. You should understand where the fear is coming from, where it belongs to. Why do you have that fear? What is actually that thing that you're fearful of? Biologically, fear is there to keep you safe. It is actually an instinct that is giving you a sign of danger out there. It's actually there to help. It's actually there to help you realize that you have not experienced anything before. So it's there to help you out. It's there to keep you safe from the danger out there that you have not experienced yet. That's it. There's nothing good or bad about the fear. It's just there to help you act in certain way that can generate the result that you want or that you need in your life. Because fear isn't something that should be keeping you inactive. Secondly, don't just stand there. Don't just live your life with it forever. We really admire certain people that accentuate their life fast-paced and they act that kind of way. But living a life where you spread out a plan, where you take your time, where you actually think about your actions before acting out are good. Sometimes merely stating what you're fearful of will help you. Sometimes just stating out clearly or writing it down in a notepad will help you clear out your mind, will help you realize what you're actually fearful of. Because when you try to ignore your fear, it will grow. But if you realize it, if you face it, if you confront it, it will shrink. Because sometimes we're only afraid of the unknown. In fact, there in the world, the largest, the worst kind of fear is the fear of unknown. And that's something we all have been stigmatized to. That's something we all have been there. We were fearful of something we thought we were fearful of, but actually, it was not the fear of that certain thing. It was the fear of the unknown, the fear of never experiencing that thing. And that's the fear of unknown. So maybe the actual fear is the fear of unknown. If that's the case, look wide into the situation, grasp a better knowledge about it, and let it simmer, maybe for a while. Grasp the situation on the context, on the facts, rather than the fear, or rather than the negative energy buildup that you have actually castled around. Something that could even help you get over the fear is visualize, get yourself over the fear, because that's something athletes are always doing, and it's a practice that can help you get over anything. That's something that you can do with anything you want to be better at. That's what athletes do, visualizing themselves completing that particular task thousands of times before even completing it physically. And that's, I guess, one of the factors that help them complete that particular task in an outstanding way. This mental mapping has actually a scientific fact to it. The mental mapping helps your mind, helps you follow its preordained path. So when the body moves, it's likely to follow the path it has been mapped to, instead of being fearful of that unknown thing. In the book, The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg, he writes about this mental mapping exercise of Michael Phillips. In the chapter of Keystone Habit, the word used for this is the videotape. It is a visualization of every part of a race in his head, which helped keep him calm and focused, and that, I think, is something that could make us live ahead of time. That is something that can help you get over anything, that can help you get better with anything. Because what you're doing is actually you're exercising your mind with that particular task that you have done, that you have experienced so much over again and again in your head, that now your body is not fearful of it anymore. Or I think sometimes to gain a sense of proportion and to get real with yourself, to ask bigger questions, like how big can be a deal it can be to face your fear. Because sometimes we actually get lost in so much of the act of considering that it could be successful or it could be a failure, that we actually lose the track of it. We actually lose the track of where we are heading towards. So maybe confronting yourself and asking yourself out loud, what's the worst that could come out? What's the biggest thing that could happen if you face your fear? Life is a series of collisions with the future. It is not the sum of what we have been, but what we yearn to be. So next time when you feel like that rush of fear inside you, ask yourself 3 questions. What is it that you're fearful of? Why are you fearful of it? And third, how can you get over this thing?